Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming together to immerse ourselves in this rich body of wisdom we call Torah. We're going to read through our weekly portion, which this week is called Bamidbar. It's the opening portion in the book of Numbers. And so we're going to be reading through chapter 1, verse 1 through chapter 4, verse 20. We'll read through the English translation of it, and then we will have our discussion about what we each may have encountered during our reading of the portion. If you'd like to join me in giving a blessing for the opportunity of this moment, feel free to join me. Baruch
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Hashem
asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav
V'tivanu
v'tzivanu la'asok
la'asok
b'divrei
b'divrei
Torah.
Torah.
Thank you, God, for the opportunity to immerse ourselves in words and deeds and relationships of Torah. I'll share with you the opening verses, and then we'll invite others to have an opportunity to read it as well. On the first day of the second month, in the second year following the exodus from the land of Egypt, God spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai in the tent of meeting, saying, "Take a census of the whole Israelite community by the clans of its ancestral houses, listing the names, every male, head by head. You and Aaron shall record them by their groups from the age of 20 years up, all those in Israel who are able to bear arms. Associated with you shall be a man from each tribe, each one the head of his ancestral house. And these are the names of the men who shall assist you. From Reuben, Elizur, son of Shadur. From Simeon, Shelumiel, son of Shaddai. From Judah, Nachshon, son of Aminadab. From Issachar, Nathaniel, son of Zuar. From Zebulun, Eliab, son of Helon. From the sons of Joseph. From Ephraim, Elishama, son of Amminahud. Manasseh, Gamaliel, son of Pedazur. From Benjamin, Abidan, son of Gideoni. From Dan, Ahizer, son of Ammishaddai. From Asher, Agiel, son of Ochran. From Gad, Eliasaph, son of Duel. From Naphtali, Achira, son of Elah. Those are the elected of the assembly, the chieftains of their ancestral tribes. They are the heads of the contingents of Israel."
Okay.
Richard, we're now at verse 17, if you'd like to read.
Thank you, Rabbi. So Moses and Aaron took those men who were designated by name. And on the first day of the second month, they convoked the whole community who were registered by the clans of their ancestral houses. The names of those aged 20 years and older being listed head by head. As the Lord had commanded Moses, so he recorded them in the wilderness of Sinai. The total as follows: the descendants of Reuben, Israel's firstborn, the registration of the clans of their ancestral house as listed by name, head by head, all males aged 20 years and over, all who are able to bear arms, those enrolled from the tribe of Reuben, 46,500. Of the descendants of Simeon, the registration of the clans of their ancestral house, their enrollment as listed by name, head by head, all males aged 20 years and over, all who were able to bear arms, those enrolled in the tribe of Simeon, 59,300. Of the descendants of Gad, the registration of the clans of their ancestral house as listed by name, aged 20 years and over, all who were able to bear arms, those enrolled from the tribe of Gad, 45,650.
Thank you, Richard. Let me invite Margot. We're now at verse.
I not do all the names. Call on me later.
Oh, okay. Well,
Someone
let's
else.
turn to Mark Thompson then. Mark, we're at verse 26.
I hope there aren't too many names.
Sing them, Mark.
All right. Of the descendants of Judah, the registration of the clans of their ancestral house, as listed by name, age 20 years and over, all who are able to bear arms, those enrolled from the tribe of Judah, 74,600. Of the descendants of Issachar, the registration of the clans of their ancestral house, as listed by name, age 20 years and over, all who are able to bear arms, those enrolled from the tribe of Issachar, 54,400. Of the descendants of Zebulun, the registration of the clans of their ancestral house, as listed by name, age 20 years and over, all who are able to bear arms, those enrolled from the tribe of Zebulun, 57,400. Of the descendants of Joseph, of the descendants of Ephraim, the registration of the clans of their ancestral house, as listed by name, age 20 years and over, all who are able to bear arms, those enrolled from the tribe of Ephraim, 40,500. Of the descendants of Manasseh, the registration of the clans of their ancestral house, as listed by name, age 20 years and over, all who are able to bear arms, those enrolled from the tribe of Manasseh, 32,200. Of the descendants of Benjamin, the registration of the clans of their ancestral house, as listed by name, age 20 years and over, all who are able to bear arms, those who enrolled from the tribe of Benjamin, 35,400. Of the descendants of Dan, the registration of the clans of their ancestral house, as listed by name, age 20 years and over, all who are able to bear arms, those enrolled from the tribe of Dan, 62,700. Of the descendants of Asher, the registration of the clans of their ancestral house, as listed by name, age 20 years and over, all who are able to bear arms, those enrolled from the tribe of Asher, 41,500. Of the descendants of Naphtali, the registration of the clans of their ancestral house, as listed by name, age 20 years and over, all who are able to bear arms, those enrolled from the tribe of Naphtali, 53,400. Those are the enrollments recorded by Moses and Aaron and by the chieftains of Israel, who were 12 in number, one man to each ancestral house. All the Israelites, aged 20 years and over, enrolled by ancestral houses, all those in Israel who were able to bear arms, all who were enrolled came to 603,550.
Mark, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And now, Margot, would you like to pick up there at verse 47?
The Levites, yes, thank you. The Levites, however, not recorded among them by their ancestral tribe, for the Lord had spoken to Moses, saying, Do not on any account enroll the tribes of Levi or take a census of them with the Israelites. You shall put the Levites in charge of the tabernacle of the pact, all of the furnishings and everything that pertains to it. They shall carry the tabernacle and all the furnishings, and they shall tend it, and they shall camp around the tabernacle. When the tabernacle is set out, the Levites shall take it down. And when the tabernacle is to be pitched, the Levites shall set it up set it up. Any outsider who encroached shall be put to death. The Israelites shall encamp troop by troop, each of them with his divisions and each under his standard. The Levites, however, shall camp around the tabernacle of the pact, that wrath may not strike the Israelite community. The Levites shall stand guard and attend around the tabernacle of the pact. The Israelites did according, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. So they did.
Thank you, Margot. Robert, we're now starting off with chapter 2, if you'd like to read.
Yes, thank you. And the Lord spake unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, Every man of the children of Israel shall pitch by his own standard, with the ensign of their father's house. far off about the tabernacle of the congregation shall they pitch. And on the east side, toward the rising of the sun, shall they of the standard of the camp of Judah pitch throughout their armies. And Nahshon, the son of Amminadab, shall be captain of the children of Judah. And his host and those that were numbered of them were 614,600. And those that do pitch next unto him shall be the tribe of Issachar. And Nathaniel, son of Zuar, shall be captain of the children of Issachar. And his host and those that were numbered thereof were 54,400. Then the tribe of Zebulun and Eliab, the son of Helon, shall be captain of the children of Zebulun. And his host and those that were numbered thereof were 57,400. All that were numbered in the camp of Judah were 100,000 and 80,000 and 6,400 throughout their armies. These shall first set forth. On the south side shall be the standard of the camp of Reuben, according to their armies. And the captain of the children of Reuben shall be Eleazar, the son of Shadur. And his host and those that were numbered thereof were 46,500. And those which pitch by him shall be the tribe of Simeon. And the captain of the children of Simeon shall be Shelumiel, the son of Zurishaddai. And his host and those that were numbered of them were 59,300. Then the tribe of Gad, and the captain of the sons of Gad shall be Elisapha, the son of Ruel, and his host and those that were numbered of them were 45,650. All that were numbered in the camp of Reuben were 100,050 and 1,450 throughout their armies, and they shall set forth in the second rank.
Thank you so much. I'm going to invite Dave. Would you like to read starting at verse 17? And thank you for your lovely background graphic. That's great.
I do. Then, midway between the divisions, the tent of meeting, the division of the Levites shall move. As they camp, so they shall march, each in position by their standards. On the west, the standard of the division of Ephraim, troop by troop. Chieftain of the Ephraimites, Elishama, son of Aminihud, his troop as enrolled, 40,500. Next to it, the tribe of Manasseh. Chieftain of the Manassites, Gamaliel, son of Pedahazor, his troop enrolled 32,200, and the tribe of Benjamin. Chieftain of the Benjamites, Abidan, son of Gideoni, his troop as enrolled 35,400. The total enrolled in the division of Ephraim, 108,100 for all troops. These shall march third. On the north, the standard of the division of Dan, troop by troop. Chieftain of the Danites, Azizur, son of Ammishaddai, his troop as enrolled 62,700. Camping next to it, the tribe of Asher. Chieftain of the Asherites, Pagiel, son of Akron, his troop as enrolled 41,500. And the tribe of Naphtali, chieftain of the Naphtaliites, Ahira, son of Enan, his troop as enrolled 53,400. The total enrolled in the division of Dan, 157,600. These shall last by their standards. These are the enrollments of the Israelites by ancestral houses. The total enrolled in all divisions for all troops, 603,550. The Levites, however, were not recorded among the Israelites as the Lord had commanded Moses. The Israelites did accordingly, just as the Lord had commanded Moses. So they camped by their standards, and so they marched, each with his clan according to his ancestral house.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, now Justin and Linda, we're now starting off with chapter 3, if you'd like to read a little bit.
Thank you, Rabbi. Okay, chapter 3. There we go. Do you want to start?
Sure. Thank you, Rabbi.
Sure.
These are the descendants of Aaron and Moses on the day that the Lord spoke to Moses at Har Sinai. These are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab, the firstborn, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the anointed Kohanim, whom he consecrated to serve as Kohanim: Nadab and Abihu died before the Lord when they brought alien fire before the Lord in the Sinai desert. And they had no children. Eleazar and Ithamar, however, served as Kohanim in the presence of Aharon their father. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Bring forth the tribe of Levi and present them before Aaron the Cohen, that they may serve him. They shall keep his charge and the charge of the entire community before the tent of meeting to perform the service of the Mishkan. They shall take charge of all the vessels of the tent of meeting and the charge of the children of Israel to perform the service of the Mishkan."
You shall give over the Levites to Aaron and his sons, and they shall be wholly given over to him from the children of Israel. You shall appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall keep their kahuna. Any outsider who isn't a Cohen who approaches shall be put to death. Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, "As for me, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel in place of all the firstborns among the children of Israel who've opened the womb, and the Levites shall be mine. For all the firstborns are mine, since the day I smote all the firstborns in the land of Egypt. I sanctified for myself all the firstborns of Israel. Both man and beasts, they shall become mine. I am Hashem, the Lord." The Lord spoke to Moses in the Sinai desert, saying, "Count the children of Levi according to their father's house, according to their families. Count all the males from the age of 1 month and upward." And so Moses counted them according to God's word, just as he was commanded. These were the names of Levi's sons. There was Gershon, Kohat, and Merari. The names of the sons of Gershon, according to their families, were Libni and Shimei. And the sons of Kohat, according to their families, were Amram, Itzhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. Read a little more.
And the sons of Merari, according to their families, were Mahli and Mushi. These are the families of Levi, according to their fathers' houses.
Well, thank you both so much. That's lovely. Let me invite Rose. We're now at verse 21, if you'd like to read a little bit. There you go.
Okay. Hold on a sec. Okay, so we're at 21.
Yes.
To Gershon belonged the clan of the Libnites and the clan of the Shimeites. Those were the clans of the Gershonites. The recorded entries of all their males from the age of 1 month up, as recorded, came to 7,500. The clans of the Gershonites were to camp behind the tabernacle to the west. The chieftain of the ancestral house of the Gershonite was Eliasaph, son of Lael. The duties of the Gershonites in the tent of meeting comprise the tabernacle, the tent, its covering, and a screen for the entrance of the tent of meeting, the hangings of the enclosure, the screen for the entrance of the enclosure that surrounds the tabernacle, the cords thereof, and the altar, all the service connected with these. To Kohath belonged the clan of the Amramites, the clan of the Izharites, the clan of the Hebronites, the clan of the Uzzielites. Those were the clans of the Kohathites. All the listed males from the age of 1 month up came to 8,600, attending to the duties of the sanctuary. The clans of the Kohathites were to camp along the south side of the tabernacle. The chieftain of the ancestral house of the Kohathite clan was Elizaphan, son of Uzziel. Their duties comprised the ark, the table, the lampstand, the altars, and the sacred utensils that were used with them, and the screen, all the service connected with these. The head chieftain of the Levites was Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, in charge of those attending to the duties of the sanctuary. To Merari belonged the clan of the Mahlites and the clan of the Mushites. Those were the clans of Merari. The recorded entries of all their males from the age of 1 month up came to 6,200. The chieftain of the ancestral house of the clans of Merari was Zuriel, son of Abihail. They were to camp along the north side of the tabernacle. The assigned duties of the Merarites comprised the planks of the tabernacle, its bars, posts, and sockets, and all its furnishing. All the services connected with these, also the posts around the enclosure and their sockets, pegs, and cords.
So much for Mark Levison. We're now at verse 38, if you'd like to read.
Thank you, Rabbi. Those who were to camp before the tabernacle in front before the tent of meeting on the east were Moses and Aaron and his sons, attending to the duties of the sanctuary as a duty on behalf of the Israelites, and any outsider who encroached was to be put to death. All the Levites who were recorded, whom at the Lord's command Moses and Aaron recorded by their clans, all the males from the age of 1 month up came to 22,000. The Lord said to Moses, record every firstborn male of the Israelite people from the age of 1 month up and make a list of their names. And take the Levites from me, the Lord, in place of every firstborn among the Israelite people, and the cattle of the Levites in place of every firstborn among the cattle of the Israelites. So Moses recorded all the firstborn among the Israelites, as Adonai had commanded him. All the firstborn males, as listed by name, recorded from the age of 1 month up, came to 22,273. Adonai spoke to Moses, saying, take the Levites in place of all the firstborn among the Israelite people, and the cattle of the Levites in place of their cattle, and the Levites shall be mine, the Lord's. And as the redemption price of the 273 Israelite firstborn, over and above the number of Levites, take 5 shekels per head. Take this by the sanctuary weight, 20 gerahs to the shekel, and give the money to Aaron and his sons as the redemption price for those who are in excess. So Moses took the redemption money from those over and above the ones redeemed by the Levites. He took the money from the firstborn of the Israelites, 1,365 sanctuary shekels. And Moses gave the redemption money to Aaron and his sons at Adonai's bidding, as Adonai had commanded Moses.
David and Susan, we're starting chapter 4 now, if you'd like to read.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you very much.
Hashem spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Take a separate census of the Kohathites among the Levites by the clans of their ancestral house, from the age of 30 years up to the age of 50, all who are subject to service, to perform tasks for the tent of meeting. This is the responsibility of the Kohathites in the tent of meeting, the most sacred objects. At the breaking of camp, Aaron and his sons shall go in and take down the screening curtain and cover the ark of the pact with it. They shall lay a covering of dolphin skin over it and spread a cloth of pure blue on top, and they shall put its poles in place. Over the table of display, they shall spread a blue cloth. They shall place upon it the bowls, the ladles, the jars, and the libation jugs. And the regular bread shall rest upon it. They shall spread over these a crimson cloth, which they shall cover with a covering of dolphin skin, and they shall put the poles in place.
Then they shall take a blue cloth and cover the lampstand for lighting with its lamps, its tongs, and its fire pans, as well as all the oil vessels that are used in service. They shall put it all and all its furnishings into a covering of dolphin skin, which they will then place on a carrying frame. Next, they shall spread a blue cloth over the altar of gold and cover it with a covering of dolphin skin, and they shall put its poles in place. They shall take all the service vessels with which the service in the sanctuary is performed, something them into a blue cloth and cover them with a covering of dolphin skin, which they shall something place on a carrying frame. They shall remove the ashes from the copper altar and spread a purple cloth over it. Upon it they shall place all the vessels that are used in its service, the fire pans, the flesh hooks, the scrapers, and the basins, all the vessels of the altar, and over it they shall place a covering of dolphin skin, and they shall put its poles in place.
Thank you both so much. Hi, Mervyn. Would you like to read a little bit? We're at verse
Absolutely. Yeah, which verse are we on?
15 of chapter.
Okay. When Aaron and his sons have finished covering the sacred objects and all the furnishings of the sacred objects at the breaking of camp, only then shall the Kohathites come and lift them, so that they do not come in contact with the sacred objects and die. These things in the tent of meeting shall be the porterage of the Kohathites. Responsibility shall rest with Eleazar, son of Aaron, the priest, for the lighting oil, the aromatic incense, the regular grain offering, and the anointing oil. Responsibility for the whole tabernacle and for everything consecrated that is in it or in its vessels. God spoke to Moses and Aaron, saying, "Do not let the group of Kohathites' clans be cut off from the Levites. Do this with them, that they may live and not die when they approach the most sacred objects. Let Aaron and his sons go in and assign every one of them in turn to his duties and to his porterage. But let not the Kohathites go inside and witness the dismantling of the sanctuary, lest they die."
Oh, thank you, everyone. That's our portion for the week. And here we are. We have now left the book of Leviticus behind. We're entering into this brand new book, Sefer Bamidbar, generally called the Book of Numbers. And I'm just wondering what you may have experienced in this portion as we read through it, this shift perhaps in focus and shift in terms of the actual activity that's happening. So what did you see? What did you feel as we entered into this new book that we're entering into? So go ahead, Dave, and then Rose and Jay. Go ahead, Dave.
As we read through this, I see three instances where the perpetrator would be put to death. Now, normally, the death penalty is supposed to be fairly rare in the Torah, but here I see there are three instances where it calls perpetrator put to death, and they all seem to be when they encroach upon the territory of the Levites.
Yeah. So, any reaction to that observation?
No, that's just my observation. I mean,
Yeah.
The last time I remember the death penalty was this poor guy was picking up sticks on Shabbos.
Uh-huh.
He said should be put to death. And
So here we are. We in one sense completely left the feeling about the book of Leviticus behind, which was focused on the special status and the special responsibility of the Levites. And it starts off, our book of Numbers starts off seemingly with a focus on the entire community. And yet, as you point out, there's still this remnant of focusing on the special status of the Levites and what happens if others who are not Levites encroach upon the territory that they're responsible for. So thanks for pointing that out. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, let me go to Rose, and then we'll get to Jay if he wants to speak, and Norm. Go ahead, Rose.
Well, Dave, I think that the reason why this threat had to be there is because the Levites are the only people who don't have arms. They are defenseless, really. So this is a warning against aggression by the guys who do have weapons against these guys who don't have weapons. So it's just saying there's a higher power that's going to pound you into the earth if you mess with the Levites, because they have no other way of defending themselves. But what I find is interesting about this is I think we're turning a corner politically here, because now we're starting to have standing armies. The previous battles were kind of skirmishes, different tribes would kind of attack them, and, Bnei Israel would, defend themselves against them, or they'd have some sort of altercations, but they were kind of small. Here, they're actually organizing into armies, into political structures, in preparations for going into the land. So they need to start training now, even though they have many years in the desert. They need to start organizing themselves politically and militarily to be able to, be a coherent force going in, because they're going to have to take over this land. So it's again a switch. We had the initial switch from the patriarchs to Bnei Israel as an entity, but they've been more of a cultural or ethnic entity. Now they're becoming a military and political entity. So it's really a change of structure. What I also noticed was there are some exceptions, but the way things are divided up, they're actually divided along the lines of the mommies. Like you have the Rachel crew, who are Joseph's kids and Benjamin, and they're in, one group. And then you have, some other ones who were like Leah's kids and the kids from Bilhah. No, not Bilhah, the other one. Bilhah was Rachel's, but it's kind of organized in that way, which is kind of interesting. But I think that that's what I'm seeing, is that they're making another transformation in their development.
Hey, thank you so much. Let me call upon Richard. You want to say something, and then we'll get to Norm, and then others who already raised their hands as well. Yeah.
People, the one that struck me most is that this is a group of several specialists who do a special job. And we don't want anybody trying to take power over other specialties and other people, which happens a lot in government. And And I think that's a very important physical or political issue in our government now, locally and nationally, is that we've got some committees here to do certain things. They're trained to do it. They're trained to do it well. And don't try to take over captaincy in that field.
Nice. Stay in your lane. Got it. Thank you. All right, Norm, go ahead.
You asked for my reaction, and there is so much here that strikes me as being extraordinarily strange, above and beyond everything else. First of all, as Dave pointed out, the killing of people who went in the wrong place and touched the wrong thing. That it's such an ugly way to be establishing a religious system. Then there's this crystallizing of a caste system. There's no way that that's going to live on as as something that's acceptable to everybody. I mean, think about living in a caste system now. It's just so strange. Starts with the name Bamidbar in the desert, and then what we really talk about is censuses and all these different responsibilities. And speaking of census, maybe I missed something, but in the beginning, it was instructed, you shall definitely not take a census of the Levites. And then what do? They take a census of the Levites. Rose points out that things are getting started for war, getting set up for war. And that's really what the Parsha is about. It's about war and about everybody's responsibilities for the tabernacle. But perhaps what strikes me as stranger than anything else is all of a sudden God is confiscating the firstborn. This just came out of nowhere. It's not part of any agreement that I remember being presented before. And if I were there, if this was one of my children and someone was confiscating the child, I wouldn't be real happy about that.
Okay. I'm gonna come bring together a lot of these things in just a minute. You've raised a lot of interesting issues, especially one about the whole caste system. Don't count the Levites, but then count the Levites. Okay. Thanks for picking up on all that detail. Let me call upon Mervyn. Go ahead, and then we'll get to Justin and Linda and Robert and Catherine. Go ahead, Mervyn.
Yeah, I really like the thread that Rose and Richard and Norm just picked up on, that this Parsha is very, it's geo and power politically conscious, and Rose pointing out the vulnerability of the priest caste, and Norm even naming that it seems like a formation of a caste system. And I thought about the caste system in modern and ancient India, where the highest caste is the priestly caste, but the political and temporal power are in the kshatriyas, the warriors. And there is this delicate, centuries long and sometimes bloody balance of power between the people with the weapons and then the people who are empowered to make moral decisions, condemnations, and anointments of temporal authority. So it makes a lot of sense that there is this life or death framing, especially as others have pointed out. The story of these people are now approaching a situation of real, not quite total war, but that notion of like, yeah, the armies are now being more formalized rather than just a responsive levy. And I wanted to ask Rabbi, it almost feels like a modern way of looking back and saying like, oh well, their situation in the ancient Near East and elsewhere is such that they needed these more stringent, almost sparse and violent rules because they were living in a more violent and atavistic and maybe even primitive world. But is there also some sort of challenge to say, no, that's a oversimplification. It's a modern way of thinking, oh, we're so civilized and we're so much removed from that conflict? Or is it really that, yeah, back then in that situation, you needed to consider the realities of having a priestly caste, the vulnerabilities that they have, but also at the same time, you don't want to throw that out because there is um, a real maybe morale and tribal cohesion in having a priestly system and all of the complications that come with that as you enter into a situation where you need to start counting people for war.
Wow. Okay. Big meta questions. Okay, we'll get to some of that. That's really rich. And let me move on. And your notion about this that you're kind of amplifying some of the points that Rose and Norm are raising about the creation of not only an elite caste, but also a warrior, and it's kind of a warrior caste is also being raised up. And so these are all interesting points. Well, I think we're going to cover a lot of them. Let me call upon Justin and Linda. Please add to the conversation. Yeah.
Boy, there's a lot that's been present, and really respect to the way people have formulated their thoughts. One commentary I once heard was that although I think Hashem actually asks for the people of Israel to leave Mount Sinai, it's also a kind of sin that they leave Mount Sinai, and that if they had been able to remain close to Hashem in some way, they could have just walked into the promised land in this way. So that's one piece, one thread. The second piece is that I've really of recent I've just begun to feel that we're still in the desert, that we've never left Bamidbar, and that really what we are offered in terms of nationalities and states are what this guy Eric Foglin calls the false immanentization of the divine. They're the golden calves that we're dealing of state religions that we're still really, really wandering in the desert. And I mean, and that what we're looking at in terms of the supposed like military kind of quality is it's a response to a kind of psychotic break of the people themselves from the Egyptian city-state organization, another city-state, another kind of idolatrous kind of golden calf in itself. That's where they're coming from. And that so the organization in the desert is a way of really the psyche coming into kind of primitive organizational state. That's a lot to say. Respect and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Linda, do you have anything you want to share at this point?
No, not at all. I was just listening. Thank you so much.
Okay, lovely. All right, let me call upon let's see, Catherine. You want to share with us?
Okay, this is just a point of clarification. Because I don't have a Torah in front of me, what I heard was that instead of taking firstborn, that Hashem would take the Levites, would reserve the Levites for himself.
They were dedicated.
Dedicated to him, yes. Which contrasts with this previous idea of killing the firstborn, right? I mean, yeah. So I was just struck by that this time around.
They were consecrated just as an offering. The offerings that we read about in the book
Right.
of offerings were dedicated to God, consecrated. They couldn't be used for other purposes and so forth. And same with the Levites, they were consecrated.
So again, this adds another layer to the notion of sacred space.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that touches upon what Dave was saying in the very first set of comments about that notion of encroachment on space and what that means. What is sacred space, and do we all have access to it, or is it supposed to be something that is guarded and protected and is the exclusive territory of just one tribe? Yeah, that's interesting. You want to say some more?
That's all I have for now. Long day. Okay.
Robert, do you want to share?
Thank you so much. I think the last two comments have covered about half of what I wanted to say.
Okay.
So how do we understand violence? You know, part of a materialistic world, and we live in it, is that we immediately think of almost every term in terms of the body, not the soul. So how often do we think of violence to our souls? Every time we lie or cheat, which is the worst? Violence, physical violence, or the kind of violence we do to our own selves when we hew down our characters, when we don't have compassion and love, etc. So it's just a point I want to pose. We all might have our own understanding, but to me, life is a spiritual journey with an outward form. And I really appreciate what was said about the sacred with regard to the tent of meetings, because it's a sacred space. And so I want to look at it symbolically. So first of all, it's sacred, and anyone who trespasses on that sacred space will be killed. This was thousands of years ago. Outwardly, we can look at it any way we want. I trust God. But I think the deeper meaning is inward. That sacred space is our soul. And constantly there are forces, thoughts, comments, ideologies that very subtly, like the snake in in the first part of the Torah, very subtly want to creep in. That's what today I think the Torah is teaching us. We have to be aware of that. And for me, I understand that as being with every breath. Doesn't mean we are successful with every breath. But just like their journey took them 40 years, our spiritual journey on this life is from the day we're born till the day we die. And at some point we have maturity and we can take responsibility. And that requires courage. The courage to make sure that that sacred space that God has created within us of the soul, where we can have divine qualities and goodness. Of course, that's one of the divine qualities, right? Where we can be free of prejudice. That's what I understand from this, that we really have to protect, because it will kill us in the end.
Thank you, Robert. Very rich. Let me call upon David and Susan.
Thank you, Rabbi. I started a few minutes ago with a question, which is this the census that's taken? Was this census taken at the beginning of the 40 years? And I guess there was also one taken at the end. So I looked at the beginning of the Parsha, and indeed it's in the second year. And then that made me think, well, there's another census at the end of the 40 years in which everybody's counted, and everybody from the first census died.
Yeah.
Almost one or two people who didn't, which is something really reflect upon when we get to the second census. But the other thing it made me think was, well, some of our takes have been about how militarized this census appears to be. They're putting together enough information to know how many warriors they can draft from each and every family and clan and tribe and super tribe. But on the other hand, there isn't a lot of warfare that goes on in the 40 years compared to what happens at the end of the 40 years when Joshua has to conquer all of Israel, at which point all this military organization is important. So I've decided that I'm going to take this census as being a way of organizing societies into provinces and counties and townships and municipalities more than military organization.
Fascinating, fascinating, David. Thank you. And Susan, did you want to share something?
Just that, like what David said, it's it's providing structure. It's not necessarily I don't know what I was going to say, but for the Levites and for the priests, they needed, apparently God felt it was necessary to delineate exactly what they were supposed to do and that everyone understand it and that they not violate that nobody else could do it but those people. And so it was just the whole thing seems to be setting things up as structure. And I find it very interesting that in that structure, the women and the children and the people under 20 years of age didn't matter. Because those are the people that are going to be around in 40 years.
The children.
The children.
And women live longer than men.
Okay, I have gotten so much from everyone's comments. I'm so glad. It's very exciting. And it started off for me when Mark Thompson had this, when he did his reading, he would emphasize the word by the names. And he would say, by the names. Okay. And so I was looking at that, and I was, every time that phrase came up in English, I would look at what the Hebrew was, and the Hebrew was Shemot, which means names. And the word Shemot got me to think about the book of Exodus, because in Hebrew, it's not called the book of Exodus, it's called Sefer Shemot. So there were these words in this week's Torah portion that got me to think about Sefer Shemot, the book of Exodus. And then as we did our readings, as a number of you pointed out, so much of it had to do with references to the responsibilities of the Levites. And so that got me to think about the book that we just finished, the book Sefer Vayikra, Leviticus. And then I thought about, well, the name of this book in Hebrew is Bamidbar, and the word midbar in Hebrew is based upon, according in Jewish tradition, the verb daber, which means to speak. And that got me to think about the book of Genesis, because that's what happens in the book of Genesis. God speaks and all these things come into existence. So I thought, this is brilliant. Somehow we are embarking upon this new book, this Sefer Bamidbar, this book of Numbers, which starts off with the entirety of the nation of Israel being involved, being organized. And somehow within just a few chapters, the language of the book has us thinking about all preceding 3 books and what's happened in there. So that to me was just a bit of literary genius that it was structured that way. To at this point, as we begin to embark upon this journey, after having settled and sat through the book of Leviticus, now we're packing up our tents, and now we're really going to get going, and now we're really going to embark upon this journey that will take us home. that the language has been structured as to enable us to recall everything that's happened so far. Genesis, Exodus, and Leviticus. That's one point that really struck me. The other part that struck me is kind of what Mervyn was hinting at least as I understood it. He was asking this question about, are we looking about this this creation of a caste, a religious caste, and we're looking at the gathering up of an armed force, and or is it just are we just looking at that through our kind of modern lens and trying to understand it? And so this is what I thought. I thought one of the unique, at least from my point of view, one of the tremendous aspects of how we read this text is we don't just read the words that are in front of us. That when the traditional way of reading this text is to not only read the words that are in front of us, we're also reading how hundreds of years of sages read it and interpreted it. So that we are reading how the rabbis read it, as well as how we are reading it right now. So it's a way of diffusing our kind of egocentrism of just reading it through our own particular frame of mind. That we're reading it filtered through the frames of minds of generations and generations and generations of sometimes contradictory and conflicting other readings. And we carry all that with us. It is as if when they pack up here at the beginning of the book of Numbers, pack up their camels and get going on their journey, one of the things that we pack up in the journey is this heritage, this legacy of multiple interpretive readings. And we carry all that with us as we embark upon our journey of reading through this text. So let me just share with you a particular rabbinic tradition of reading this Torah portion, and that is to look at the very beginning. Oh, by the way, before I get to that, I do want to acknowledge, I apologize, I forget who it was that mentioned it. Let me see, that it was someone mentioned that the people are being counted and the Levites are not supposed to be part of the census, but then later on they get counted. Who mentioned that? I meant Norm. Thank you. So one of the interesting things is that when you look at the Hebrew is different. So when it comes time to count the Levites, the word pakad is the word that's used, which is different than the word that's used about taking accounting of the Israelites. And that's what we're going to look at for just a couple of minutes. So on the study sheet, I have the second verse, which in my edition gets translated as, take a census of the whole Israelite community. The Hebrew there is Sa'u et Rosh Ba'adat B'nai Yisrael. Sa'u means to lift up, to raise up, and Rosh is head. So literally, it could be read as lift up the head of everyone in the community of Israel. So that is kind of that allows the rabbis to then begin to hear what's happening very differently than just as if it's a matter of doing a conscription or of all those ages 20 years and up to create an army. Instead, what they're hearing is a bigger picture of, we want you to pay attention to and lift up, elevate every head that's there in the community of Israel. So I thought about this too, about this notion of counting. When one counts, what's the impact on us when we're part of being counted? does it cause us to become more aware of our distinctiveness, our separation, our differentiation? All of you on Team Blue over here, and we're going to count everyone who's on Team Blue. And David and Susan and Robert, you're going to be on Team Red. And so does that kind of counting off, okay, does that cause us to be more aware of our separation from one another? Or does it cause us to be aware of what a large and diverse community we are, and that we're a part of a great whole? So those are just some thoughts I was having, and that some people might use counting as a way to do something invidious, to make sharp distinctions among and between people. And so Stanley Cavell, in his book In Quest of the Ordinary, he plays with this notion, and then he says, well, what happens is each part, only part that no one is everything. It's possible for people to become aware that no one is everything, and that apart from this, that there is nothing, and there's never nothing but always others. That I'm not alone, and I don't constitute the entirety of my community. So that's one possible way of the effect of being counted. It depends upon the purpose for which this counting is happening. So here's other ways in which the rabbis begin to play with this notion of this particular element that happens at the beginning of the book of Numbers, this raising up of the head of each person in the community of Israel, allows the rabbis then to begin to see the importance of each unique individual, who then helps to constitute the whole. So we have this, I think it was the 16th century Rabbi the Maharsha, who said there were 600,000 people at Sinai who received Torah, and the Torah has 600,000 possible interpretations. And the reason it was given to an entire people is so that it would reflect all possible holy meanings. So no one individual carries with him or herself the entire understanding of Torah. Each person has some unique understanding of it. And that is part of the reason why it wasn't just handed to one spiritual head to whom it was revealed. It was revealed to everyone all at once at Sinai. Now, in the Hasidic tradition is going to take this even deeper in terms of the psychological impact of this. So I have here a quote from Rabbi Mordechai Yosef, known as the Ishbitzer Rebbe, who wrote the book, the Mei HaShiloach. And he focuses on that term that we have in our Torah verse about raise up the heads of all the Israelites. He wrote, raise signifies elevation. By means of counting the number of all the tribes, each individual will experience elevation, and a special significance will be seen in each one. This is as it was written in Hosea, and the number of the children of Israel will be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured or counted. The greatness of God is seen in the entire community of Israel as a whole, and if just one member of that community is missing, then the mixture will be deficient. Each one of Israel is a portion of God. Each individual possesses one of the attributes of God. And at the time when that individual is counted, then God's self is present in that attribute. This is how each member of Israel has a special state of elevation. Imagine you're being told that you carry a unique aspect of God that no one else has. And when I count you, when I say, and present today is Norm Rosen, a unique aspect of God becomes present. What a powerful lesson that's teaching us. is that when I'm counted, an aspect of God becomes present that would not otherwise become present. So, and this is what the 19th century rabbi, the Hasidic rabbi Svatamet says. Each and every Jew has a particular knowledge of God's greatness. Each of us becomes excited by a different quality or aspect of a religious life. Each of us has some specific task to perform in the eyes of God. And for that reason, we were created. And then our 20th century philosopher, Emmanuel Levinas, going to take this into a little bit more, I would say, philosophically sophisticated way. And basically, he's going to say, let's read this is first sentence here. It is as if the multiplicity of persons were the prerequisite for the fullness of absolute truth. As if each person, by his or her uniqueness, ensured the revelation of a unique aspect of truth, and that some of his aspects would never be revealed if some members of humanity were missing. The importance of each individual is what is being valued through this reading and this legacy of how to read this portion. And that's why we have in the Talmud this pithy statement: whoever saves a single life is though he saved the entire world. Each of us carries a universe within us. So this is some traditions count people primarily in order to assess how much power as sovereign they have. I've got so many tanks, so many missiles. I've got 1 million people in the armed forces. That is a statement of power and the possibility for domination in the world. And Rabbi Jonathan Sachs writes this: where the ultimate reality is power, what matters is the totality, not the individual. The purpose of a biblical census was not to quantify, but to affirm the worth of each individual in the totality of Torah and a society constructed around the idea of the whole. To me, when I look at all this material, I said, that's the difference between counting people and taking account of people. So when we use the phrase take account of something, it means you need to include this when you're making a decision or a plan. And so this is a tradition as we're reading through these, this legacy of interpretation and reading, is that the focus is on the value that each individual brings, and the absence of any one of us impoverishes us in terms of our wisdom and our understanding. And that's something that despots and authoritarians don't understand. For despots and authoritarians, you count things only so you can amass power for yourself that you can then exercise in the world. You're not using it to liberate the capacity that each individual brings to the table. So let's go ahead, Mark, and then Richard here has some more comments. Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you. You know, I've been gone about a month, and it's wonderful to be back, but I wanted to make an observation, and I don't know if this was by design, but I noticed something very different about tonight. And what I noticed is that people came and were accountable and were counted because people were really prepared to talk about this portion. Normally, the rabbi does a drash after we read it, and then everybody responds. But tonight was very different. People came with their own points of view and their own impressions and their own insights. And I was just so impressed by all of the comments that everybody made. I just was just really blown away, and I want to thank you all.
God bless you, Mark. This is a new format that we started
Okay.
I appreciate that you perceived that the effect of it was to that people showed up with their thoughts and their comments in a different kind of way. So thank you for that. Richard, you wanted to make another comment? Yeah.
Before, I'd said before that you had to do your job, you were given a job to do, and you don't go try and get into somebody else's job to gain power. And then you said, yeah, stay in your own lane. And reading this, especially, each person becomes excited by a different quality or aspect of religious life. So if we're brought here with a job to do and given training and something to do, that's the thing you want to do. And if you don't do that thing, that aspire somehow, maybe that's where you lose your soul. When your soul gets hurt, is you get to your ego and want to get a little more place where you can have power and control and move into somebody else's field. Not only are you encroaching on someone else, but you're threatening your own soul by moving toward what your ego's need is for greater power, then manifesting that's the spark that the God has given you to come to this world with.
Thank you. And David, Susan, do you have some more comments? Please go ahead. You'll need to unmute though.
Okay. Mark, when he read the beginning part of the Parsha, as you mentioned, emphasized name, recorded name. And to me, that combined with the lifting up of the head that you teased out for us, which is an I thou encounter from somebody to somebody, or God and somebody. Plus, I think the recording of a name is written down. There's 603,000 names were written down in one clan tribe, etc. And it made me think of being enrolled in Indian tribe, a recorded member, and that extra feeling of what I was and pride I might feel if I imagine myself to be so listed, as well as face seen. So it's created for me a vision of the census of 603,000 people that has an intimacy and a humanity to it that I'd never saw before.
Lovely, David. And here's what you got me to think about. I mentioned that Bamidbar, in a sense, references for me the story of creation because God speaks and things come into existence. The difference here in Bamidbar, this realm of speech, this wilderness where speech happens, is it's going to be human beings doing the speaking. And we're going to see as we journey with them, as we all journey together, the quality, nature, and purpose for which that's human speaking is being done. And I think not to provide any spoilers or anything, but we're going to see a lot of stuttering in the sense of speaking. We're going to be trying to gain our feet as being creators to try and match up to the kind of power of creation that we saw with divine speaking in the story of creation. And to be able to speak with one another and in the context of a community makes a big difference. That is, in a community of readers, a community of imaginers, a community of spiritual artists, makes a difference because we are being attentive to one another. We're inviting one another to speak. And how each one of us speaks sparks something within us. So to be able to be on this journey of speaking and reading and hopefully creating beauty in this world is a great gift. Thank you all very much. God bless you all. I look forward to our next gathering. We will not be meeting next Thursday, however, because down to Scottsdale for our granddaughter's graduation. So we'll meet in 2 weeks, okay? God bless you all. See you
Thank
next.
you, Rabbi Mazel Tov.
And don't forget to study on Shabbat Leil Tikkun, or however you say it. Shavuot.
Thanks a minute, everyone. Be well.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you.